Hello friends, it's Alexis and welcome to my September Battle of the Books wrap-up. If this is your first time watching one of my wrap-ups, this is just the style I like to do it. I think wrap-ups can get a little boring if I was just talking to you about the 14 books that I read in September. Yes, 14, can we believe it? One of my best reading months yet. So I use the website Bracket Fights. I upload all of my book covers that I read in the last month. It randomly organizes them into a bracket for me, and then they fight it out until only one winner remains standing, and that is my favorite book of the month. I like to start these videos out with my stats from the previous month because I enjoy looking at stats. So as I mentioned, I read a total of 14 books, which divides out into 2,729 physical pages, 58 hours and 44 minutes of audiobook listening time. 8 of those books I read physically with my eyeballs, 5 of them were audiobooks, and 1 was an ebook. I ended up reading 12 books off of my physical TBR. I DNF'd 0 books, and I stuck to my book buying ban. I bought 0 books in the month of September. Can we get a round of applause, please? It's not gonna happen again. I have already made up for it by buying books in October. The only other thing that you need to know about my reading month in September is it was so successful because I was participating in the Readathon Rebellion hosted for the first time this year by Lenore Reads. She has confirmed that it is returning for next year, so make sure you go subscribe. That way you can be the first to know about round 2 of the Readathon Rebellion. And if you missed out on the first round, it's not too late. It is a individual game board based readathon, so you could really participate in it anytime you want. With all of that out of the way, I think I can shrink myself down and we can get into our fight. All right, starting out strong with Play Nice by Rachel Harrison. This is a book that I have a vlog that went up for. I will link any vlog where I read one of these books in the description below in case you missed out on it. This is the newest release from one of my favorite authors ever. I have truly loved everything that she's written, and this one wasn't any different. I just loved it a tiny bit less than her previous releases. It was still really, really good in my opinion. I gave it 4 stars. It just didn't have that extra spark that I've come to expect with Rachel Harrison's books. I like to describe her as cozy horror, and this one was the least cozy yet, if that makes sense. And I say this in my vlog, but I don't want it to come off like I'm saying she has to stay in this box of cozy horror, because that's not the case. I just maybe wasn't expecting more of a true horror story going into this one. There were some genuinely scary scenes. Like, there's one scene in particular that takes place in an attic crawl space that like is burned into my memory. I can still see it when I close my eyes at night. So there's that. But this one truly was just a case of me overhyping it in my head, and it didn't live up to my personal expectations. Still really good. I still had a really great time reading it, and I will continue to pick up everything that she writes. She's one of my favorite authors for a reason. That is going up against The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer. This is another one that I vlogged for, and this was a fun one. So almost the entire book, I was just kind of whatever about it. It was just a book that I was listening to, wasn't taking too much of my brain power. It was just kind of like on in the background, and I wasn't really connecting with any of the characters until the last like 25% of this book broke me, but like in a good way. I was like sobbing the happiest tears over the ending of this, not even realizing how much it had touched me and how much I did finally connect with the characters. But because the majority of the book, the first 75%, was sort of a letdown for me, I ended up rating this one 4 stars. So actually we have a true head-to-head, even though it doesn't feel like it, because overall I enjoyed Play Nice a lot more. So I think that means Play Nice has to be our winner for this round. Okay, 2 more really good ones. Honestly, September was just a really solid reading month. I don't know if I had anything below a 3-star rating. Starting out on the left, The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore by Lori Gilmore. This is one of 2 books, I think, that I'm gonna talk about in this video that I did vlog for, but that vlog is not out yet. They are for these projects that I'm working on behind the scenes in between filming some other vlogs. So I'm thinking the vlog for this one is actually not going to come out until November. But I'll give you a little sneak peek to it now. I really love this one, like so much more than the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. When I had finished the first one, it was whatever. It was fine, a good book. I ended up giving it 3 stars, I believe, but I didn't really have any desire to continue in the series. This one changed my mind, and now suddenly I want to read them all. It was just a really fluffy, cute time, but also had some really good steamy scenes in there, so I decided to go with a 4-star rating. And that is going to be going up against my first 5-star of the month, Julie Chan is Dead by Leanne Zhang. Oh my god, I just want to scream about how good this book is. I know everybody's raving about it right now, and like, I was gonna skip it because I honestly thought that it was overhyped. No, the hype is warranted. This book is that good, you guys. If you like twisty mystery thrillers, you have to pick this one up. It was such a goofy, fun time, but also had some super unhinged scenes later on in the book that I think I'll remember for the rest of my life. So, because I really, really enjoy my unhinged books, Julie Chan is going to be our winner for this round. Okay, next up we have Blood on the Tracks, volume 15 by Shuzo Oshimi. I did finally complete this manga series this month, and to be honest, when I read this many volumes in a row, I read 3 in the same day, they all kind of blend together, so I can't really tell you what was different between 15, 16, or 17. I do know that I rated 15 4 stars, 16 3 stars, and 17 4 stars, if that makes a difference. Overall, I think they were all a good conclusion to the series. I'm happy with how it ended. I do definitely believe that the first half of the series was better than the later half, in my opinion. There was a time jump that happened, so 15, 16, and 17 were taking place in the future where our main character was an adult now. I understand why we did it and why he ended the series like he did, but earlier volumes were definitely more on the unhinged side, and the later volumes were just very depressing. So definitely happy to be done with the series. And that is going up against One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. When I initially finished this one, I decided to rate it 3.5 stars. It was good. I enjoyed it. I liked the romance, but it was nothing like spectacular. But honestly, now that I finished it, I keep thinking about this story and how much I want to be back in this world and like continue with these characters. So I'm not gonna go back and change my rating, but I think if I did, I would bump it up to a 4-star. If you guys watch my channel, then you know I don't read a ton of romantasy. So when one really grabs my attention like this one did and sucks me in, and like, I think I finished this in like under 2 days, it's a big deal for me. I tend to just get bored with fantasy or romantasy books because usually I get confused, the world building is too much for me, but this one, I really, really liked the atmosphere and like the dark tone to the story, and I think that went a long way with me. So, although One Dark Window is technically rated lower than I did Blood on the Tracks volume 15, I am going to pick One Dark Window as our winner for this round. This is the second book I mentioned earlier that I have not put out the vlog for yet. The vlog where I read this one will be going up the week of Halloween, hopefully, if all goes to plan. So again, a little sneak peek to that one. I really enjoyed The Exorcist. I kind of expected I would, but maybe not to the extent that I ended up loving it. Obviously, I've seen the movie before, and while this was very, very similar to the movie, like almost word for word, there were some scenes that felt longer, more detailed, and even additional things that were left out of the movie that were so horrific to read about. This book was honestly so well done. I'm so happy I read it. And if you are a fan of the horror movie, I think you definitely have to read the original novel it was based on. And if I didn't already say, I gave this one 4 stars. That, of course, is going up against another Blood on the Tracks, this time volume 17. As I previously mentioned, I gave this one 4 stars. And while I do think it was a good end to the series, nothing really sticks out. I think I definitely enjoyed The Exorcist more, so The Exorcist will be our winner for this round. Okay, here's where it gets difficult and I have to start picking between favorites. Based on my enjoyment of these 2 books, Julie Chan is obviously the winner. I was obsessed with this book. I literally stayed up until like 6 a.m. to finish it because I had to know what was gonna happen. I couldn't put it down. And that means next we have One Dark Window versus The Exorcist. This is difficult because I loved both of these for different reasons. But I think I have to go with The Exorcist for the lasting impact this book has had on the world. And I'm 100% certain that specific parts of The Exorcist are going to stick with me a lot longer than One Dark Window. Which brings us to Julie Chan versus The Exorcist. I have to give it to Julie. This might be a little extreme, but Julie Chan was like nearly a perfect book. I really don't have any complaints about it. I loved every single second of my time reading it. So it definitely feels right to be a contender for my best book of September. That rhymed. Moving on over to the right side of the board, starting out with Wild as the Witch by Rachel Griffin. If I'm being honest, I forgot I read this one last month, and I did really enjoy it. This is another one that I gave 4 stars. We had a lot of 4 stars in September. Just missed that 5-star rating. This, I think, could be categorized as one of those. This one is a young adult novel, and the only thing that I could say that might have bumped this up to a 5-star rating is if it had been adult. I thought everything else about this book was so well done. I love Rachel Griffin's writing. I love her world that she built. I love her magic system having to do with these witches with nature powers. So when it comes down to asking myself why this wasn't a 5-star book, it just didn't have the feeling. 5 stars is a feeling. I can't explain it. I just know when a book is going to be 5 stars versus not. And this one was not. And that is going up against Blood on the Tracks Volume 16. I already kind of gave my review of all of these. This is the one that I rated 3 stars. I don't remember what at the time made me rate it lower than the other 2 that I read that day, but that's that. So clearly we're going to go with the more memorable book, and we're going to pick Wild as the Witch as our winner for this round. Okay, this is so funny because one of these books was 5 stars and one of these books was 4.5 stars. And if you had made me guess which one would be which before reading them, I would have been so 100% certain of my answer, and I would have been so wrong. Because nobody is more surprised than I am that Deep End by Ali Hazelwood was 5 stars and Catabasis by R.F. Kuang was 4.5. Crying. My most anticipated book of the year, and I didn't absolutely love it. So backing up to Deep End, this is my first Ali Hazelwood that I've read since last year when I finished Bride, and I sort of swore her off for a little bit. I just needed a break, but I'm happy to say she is back. This book was incredible. It is not as kinky as I thought it would be going in. Like, when a book is described as a BDSM relationship, I'm expecting more. This book was very vanilla, so definitely know that going into it, but it was still such a fun time. I listened to the audiobook in one sitting. I just couldn't get enough of these characters' chemistry, and I fell in love with both of them as their own people as well as the couple, and it reminded me so much of the same feelings I had when I first read The Love Hypothesis. There's just something about reading a really good romance book that like heals your soul. And that's what I needed. So yeah, that one was 5 stars. And then Catabasis, my 4.5 star, it let me down. I'm being dramatic because obviously 4.5 stars is still an incredible rating. I still loved this book. I just didn't love it as much as I wanted to love it. I wanted this to be my new personality. I wanted this to be my favorite book of the year, and it just did not live up to the hype. I still do think it's a good book, and I still will continue to pick up everything R.F. Kuang writes. I just think September was a month of me like hyping up new releases way too much to the point where they just couldn't live up to my expectations, because almost the same thing that happened with Play Nice is what happened here. It was really my fault that I didn't enjoy it as much as I should have, because I really did enjoy my time reading this. Well, until one little thing happened. I kind of mentioned it in the vlog. There's one thing, if I had to change about this book, something would have happened differently. Definitely made my enjoyment of that part of the book go down. Overall, still an incredible book and still one of my favorites I read this month. Now, I have to do the impossible thing, and I have to pick Ali Hazelwood over R.F. Kuang. Like, no shade to Ali Hazelwood. I love her. But like, I have confessed so many times my love for R.F. Kuang and called her like my favorite author of all time. And I have also been very loud about my hatred for Bride by Ali Hazelwood, but that's just how it's gonna be. I enjoyed Deep End more than Catabasis. Crazy. So Deep End will be our winner for this round. Okay, getting down to our final matchup, we have Censor by Junji Ito. This one is a horror manga. It had a lot of sci-fi elements that I was not expecting, and I'm finding that I actually really love when Junji Ito includes those sci-fi-y bits into his stories. Of course, just like everything else I've read from him before, I absolutely love his art style. This man knows how to draw a creepy image. And I feel like the story that went along with this one was one of his more solid. I feel like I'm being a tough critic. It's just that Junji Ito is really hit or miss for me. Either I love it or I'm bored, and this one thankfully fell into the I loved it category, and I ended up rating this one 4 stars. And of course, this is going up against Lucky Day by Chuck Tingle, another 4-star book. Truly, September, the month of 4 stars. This one is another one that it was really great. It just was missing that 5-star feeling. It was such a fun time. Like, the opening chapter is unlike anything I've maybe ever read. In my vlog where I read this, I actually compare it to like the deaths in a Final Destination movie, like so over the top ridiculous, but at the same time so entertaining. And I still feel like that is such a good comparison and like the best way to describe this book. Oh my god, I'm just realizing this is another new release that I hyped up and I only rated it 4 stars. So again, it's my fault for overhyping this in my head, but I still really recommend this one, as well as all of Chuck Tingle's horror books. He is just such a solid horror author to me, and definitely somebody I will continue to pick up in the future. And actually, a fun thing about this being up against Censor is Lucky Day also had some sci-fi elements in it. So if you like sci-fi in your horror, this is definitely one I recommend. And when it comes down to picking between these two, I have to give it to Lucky Day. All right, we are almost to the finish line. On one hand, Wild as the Witch was everything. I love the witchy vibes. I love the nature magic, the communicating with animals, everything I want from a story about a witch. But on the other hand, super cute romance, made me feel things. Deep End is gonna get it. Yeah, I think this one is going to Deep End as well. You know, just sometimes my frozen dead heart unthaws and a romance book makes me feel things. Okay, let's get serious now. I know Deep End just completely killed everybody on the right side of the board, but Julie Chan really has just had such a lasting impression on me. As I previously said, Julie Chan truly was like a perfect book for me. So it almost feels like there's no competition. Like 100%, it's going to Julie Chan. You know, I never could have predicted this, but it just feels right. Looking at everything else I read in September, this book is the standout. This was absolutely my favorite thing I read this month, the most entertaining time, the most animated reactions that I had to a book, and I'm really happy it is our winner. All right, there we have it. My favorite book of September was Julie Chan is Dead by Leanne Zhang. Please let me know in a comment below what your favorite book you read in September was. And if you would just like to leave me an emoji to let me know you were here, let's go with the phone emoji. But as always, friends, I hope you read a good book today, and I will see you soon in my next one. Bye.